Here we go. We're live here. And I'm back again. Decided to make another video. And I get excited when I know I'm going to make a video. And I'm preparing for the video because it's very exciting to talk about Torah. And, the Torah has all the answers, everything we need to know. Everything our heart desires and everything we need to know is in the Torah. So by studying the Torah, I think we gain all the secrets, and everything is in the Torah. Okay, so today I'm going to talk about I'm learning the Sichos of the Rebbe, 1992, and this is one of his last Sichos that we have for him. Is Adar, 1992. So after we finish this Sicha, we're going to go back to 1991 in order to have the corresponding Sichas to the year. But I'm focused on the Sichas given over in 1992, 91, 92, when these are the last Sichas we have until we see the Rebbe again, and he'll give us more Sichas. Okay, let's see. So this is Sisa from 1992, Adar 1992. Okay, so we have the first luchos, the first set of tablets, and then it talks about in the Sicha the golden calf. And then the luchos are broken, and it also talks about the 13 attributes of mercy. And you have the second luchos. And why does the Torah have to talk about the golden calf and the luchos being broken, and these undesirable things? Why does the Torah have to refer to these undesirable things, these seemingly negative or bad things? I don't want to say the word negative, but pure versus impure, or just these undesirable things. So and is it really undesirable? I'm going to talk about that later. The second luchos might be inferior to the first luchos, but really we could turn that over and say the second luchos were the second luchos were more. So okay, so what happened? What happened. So why does it talk about undesirable things? We could say the reason is what happened, and it's just stating what happened in the course of events. And the Torah is supposed to be a lesson. Torahs are always supposed to look at the Torah as a lesson. So we say the Torah shouldn't speak about bad things. The Torah shouldn't say impure or bad things. And also, it goes from one extreme to the other in these events. You have the first luchos, the first set of tablets, which was very high. It was the work of Hashem. It was actually written by Hashem and Hashem's handiwork. And it goes from this high event to the sin of the golden calf, which is a sin that has been with the Jewish people. The sin of the golden calf talks about that. So it goes a very high event to a very low. And then the luchos were broken, a descent again that talks about, then it goes the descent, supposedly the luchos were broken, it's a descent. And then again, it talks about a high thing, the 13 attributes of mercy. And also Moshe sees God, Moshe's vision of Hashem. So Moshe, the second luchos, was Moshe's work. In contrast to the first luchos, it talks about how the second work of Moses made the second tablets. And these came about as a result, it says it came about as a result of the sin of the golden calf. And it also says it came at the end. There were 3 sets of 40 days. And Moses went up on the mountain. The second 40 days, God gave the luchos, and then the second luchos was all part of this order of events. And the advantage of the first luchos, it was written by God. It was written. It was written on both sides. Somehow there was a miracle, and you could see the writing from both sides of the stone tablets, and the last luchos emphasized the good points of the first luchos. So it said the first one is like the second one is like the first one. So it's like the first one, and so it said it's not a good description that in this parsha, part of the giving of the first luchos. Now it talks about the golden calf and the details about the golden calf, and here about the specialty of the first luchos. So it's comparing, saying that it's kind of putting down the second luchos, saying that they didn't compare it in comparison to the first luchos. They didn't measure up. So it's almost like it talks about the sin of the golden calf. The details here about the specialty of the first luchos, and also it talks about how Moses tarried. Moses came late, and the Jewish people were wondering what's taking Moses so long on the mountain. So they made the golden calf, and we can ask, why did they make the golden calf? We could say maybe, they made this golden calf. They were so used to Egypt, this mentality in Egypt of worshiping Pharaoh and having to be slaves to Pharaoh, and Pharaoh saying that he would do battle with the sun, and that the sun wouldn't rise if he didn't win this battle with the sun every morning. So they idolized Pharaoh, and they didn't realize they were slaves. They were slaves in Egypt, but Pharaoh had them so mesmerized or brainwashed that they didn't realize they were slaves to Pharaoh. They thought he was. They had to do this in order to worship him and to serve him, and as a deity, because he was having victory over the sun god, and so they made this golden calf because they still had that Egypt mentality, and Moses was trying to give them this light. Moses was a light being. He was trying to give them all this light from Hashem, and just as a parents would give it to a child, they just want to drench them and shower them with gifts and positiveness and providing, and not allowing them to express their own light. So the key to this, I think, I'm giving it over to what I decipher from this portion, is that the point is that Moshe was trying to just give over everything he had as a parent to a child to the Jewish people, and it didn't work. That he had to break that first luchos to rebuild. You have to break the first luchos to rebuild your mold story and to come with something new, with something better. So there's no waste in the first luchos, but in your story, but to come with something new, something better, you have to destroy and rebuild. It's almost like the sloughing of the uterus. When a child is, when the woman has her menstruation, you have to, the uterus gets ready for the implantation of the child, and potentially if the sperm and the ovum meet, then you have pregnancy and you have the baby. But every month, the woman sloughs off this lining of her uterus that's supposed to be ready for the child. So this blood, this menstruation, is a sloughing off, a destruction, a sloughing off of this matrix, the cellular matrix, and implantation site of the embryo every month. So you have destruction to have a new. So it's a cycle. So it was almost like it was a blessing that the first luchos were destroyed in order to build something better and new. And the second luchos, as it says, doesn't compare to the first luchos. That the second luchos is better because Moshe contemplated these and spent time and went up to Mount Sinai again and prayed and thought about what he had to do to have the Jewish people, accept the second Luchos, and he contemplated and he prayed and he had patience and he spent time. Got it and accepted the second Luchos. So in some ways, the second Luchos is even greater than the first Luchos, although the portion doesn't talk about that. So Moshe's came late, so the people made a golden calf. They became impatient, so they made a golden calf, an idol to worship. And this sin of the golden calf is a very harsh sin that we've had to live with. A problem, it says, if someone has a problem, don't laugh at those who are poor. So the Rebbe said, we don't laugh at those who are poor. It's almost like you're saying, why are you rubbing it in? Why are you rubbing it in that the first Luchos was so much better than the second Luchos? It didn't compare that it was written by Hashem. The second was written by Moshe. The first was written by Hashem, and you could see it on both sides, and they're so much superior. So it's almost like rubbing it in, laughing at those who are poor. So it also it discusses the first Luchos, the golden calf, the second Luchos. And Rashi says this story about the golden calf is out of order. And according to the timeline in the Parsha, Rashi said that it's out of order. And the Luchos are broken on the 17th of Tammuz, and Moshe goes up for 40 days, and then at Yom Kippur he comes down with the Luchos. And then it also, they talk about they began donating to the Mishkan in order, and so it seems like these things are out of order. That the Torah is precise, even though these things seemingly out of order, the Torah is precise in its rendition. And so why do these events here in Sisa, when they happened earlier, why are they mentioned here in Sisa when they happened earlier? So close to the end of the Parsha, it also talks about the Shalosh Regalim, which is the Jews going to Jerusalem for Pesach, Shavuos, and Sukkot, the three festivals. Why does it mention the Shalosh Regalim here in this Parsha? That's what I studied today, and but just want to go over the 13 attributes of mercy. When it talks about the 13 attributes of mercy, we can say that number 13 also represents Ahava, and Echad. Ahava, love, and Echad, the oneness. And the oneness is in everyone. The oneness of that everyone has their own light, everyone has their own piece of the puzzle. Every soul is unique. Everyone has their own experience and their own story and their own soul. And everyone is, the whole of creation is in everyone. The whole of Moshe's is in everyone. The substance of the universe, the atoms, the chemical makeup of everyone is it, the whole of the universe. So the Torah has to be interpreted by everyone. When Moses brought the first Luchos, he tried to give too much light, tried to show too much light. He had to break it, and so and allow each person, each Jew to express themselves. He couldn't just shower them with all this light. He had to let the Jews figure this out for themselves and interpret it for themselves and make their own story, make their own Torah. And so breaking the mold, the Luchos is like breaking the mold, breaking out of your past story, overcoming your past. Moshe and the talks about the second 40 days he went up, and the second 40 days he had patience. He went up to pray on the mountain. He had patience with the Jewish people. It gave him time to think about it and to reflect. And if you give too much, you have a giver and a receiver. If the giver gives too much to the receiver, then the receiver breaks, it shatters. You can't, the vessel can't hold all that light. So the giver has to know when to allow the receiver to integrate and to think and to also give input into the equation. So Moshe, in a way, with the first Lucas, he didn't allow them to exist. He didn't allow the Jewish people to exist, and they needed their ability for self-expression. So when you give too much love and too much kindness without gevura, uh, you have to allow the people the ability for self-expression, for them to receive, and for them to take in, and them to integrate, and for them, like the water crystals, when you talk to the water crystals, they take shape. If you talk the love to the water crystals, they change to love. If you talk hateful words, they change to hateful shapes. So it's almost like you have to have this ability for self-expression. They have to take on. They can't be overwhelmed with light. We learned CPR. My wife Batya renewed her CPR license recently, and we sat with the nurse and at Starbucks, and she gave over the CPR class to us, and it was something new that we learned in the CPR. You can think about the sternal rubs, and you're trying to stimulate the person who doesn't have looks like they're passed out, doesn't have, and so something new that we learned is there's no breath. We don't go and breathe for the person. We concentrate on compressions, chest compressions, and it goes to show you cannot breathe for another person. You cannot. That person has to have the innate ability to breathe in, consume, to have expansion of the taking in and the receiver. So even in the CPR, you could the new codes for the CPR is you don't give breath. You don't give these breath, and but it maybe the deeper meaning to that is not anymore that we give breath, that you just compressions and let the other person breathe on its own. So only the person has to have that intrinsic desire, that intrinsic innate ability to take in the oxygen, to breathe, and to push out carbon dioxide and take in oxygen, and have the physiological response. And so that was interesting. So let's see. Also, the oneness. Everyone is connected to the divinity. Everyone has a spark of Moshe inside of them. Everyone has a spark of Mashiach inside them. Everyone has this divinity, this ability to connect to Hashem. So by Moses just overwhelming the Jewish people with light, it didn't allow them to reflect back and to show and use their own divinity in each person. So each person has something to offer Moses back. So it's the giver and receiver. And also the 3 sets of 40 days on the mountain is for reflection and of completion in him, is a reflection of the completion in him. So because 3 times 40 is 120, Moses lived to 120 years. So the 3 sets of 40 days is a reflection of Moses' living to 120 years. And also the element of compassion, compassion to the Jewish people, light being, and he gave us all this light, and he had to have compassion for the Jewish people by allowing them to speak their minds and to be receivers. So the second Lucas, after we could talk about the second Lucas and this crushing. A lot of times the Jewish people are likened to an olive and being crushed. And something that also made me think about just coming back from Israel. This is the first video I'm making after coming back from Israel, and the miracle of the Jewish nation, the miracle of the Jewish state. After all these years, we've come back and we're making a land in Israel, and all the Jewish people all over the world support Israel, and even I can remember my father used to invest in Israeli bonds or give donations to the Israel, whatever. Even though my grandfather, literally went there and cleared the land of rocks or whatever he did there to physically build a state, but even Jews who didn't go to Israel, by monetarily supporting Israel, helped build the land. They knew how important it was to have a Jewish state, especially after the Holocaust, and how the Jews were like back against the wall, and needed a place to go to not be killed in the Holocaust. So they created this Jewish state, this return to the Jewish state, which is our homeland. And it's amazing, the miracles just took place, that Hashem ordained that this should be our land, that all these Arab armies and all the wars of the creation of the state of Israel, and defending itself, and creating its borders, all the wars that it went through, as far as I know, it's a miracle how they won these wars. And this small, it's today it's 6 million Jews, and 350 million Arabs surrounding them. This small band of Jews were able to push back these Arabs, and defend their borders and create a state. And it was a miracle with the wars that would, a lot of Jewish blood was lost, in creating the state of Israel. And it's a miracle that we have this now. And it was almost like the crushing of the olive, that it's amazing how it's so powerful being in Israel, and seeing all the holy sites, and talking to the people and getting to know the people, and how wonderful it is to have a homeland, to have a place that all Jews can know that this is a reality, and something go to where they want to voluntarily leave their country, and in peace, and emigrate to Israel today voluntarily, and in peace. And it's an amazing thing. The state, and this powerful army of the Israeli army defeated these Arab armies, in the miracle of all these wars against the Arabs. So the Jews are squeezed like an olive, and the miracle, they with a back up against the wall, and this miracle comes about. So it's almost like the faith that the Hashem is actually protecting us. Hashem is providing for us, and it's just a miracle that the Jews. Some say you have to be in the land to. If you're in exile, you're outside the state of Israel. You're a Jew living in America, but or any other country in the world. But Israel is all over the world. You have to make Israel in any part of the world where you're living is to spread light. The Rebbe emphasized that we should spread light all over the world, not just Israel. We can't idolize one land and say, although it's a special land, and it has a connection, and that's our land, our homeland. There should be Yiddishkeit, and since today's society is so global, that there should be Yiddishkeit spread throughout the world. And I think Chabad, has shulchim all over the world, and this so many in every country working and spreading Yiddishkeit education, and for me, it's just my life has changed so much for the better, and I think that this enlightenment, this oneness, this Mashiach consciousness, that it's just a miracle, and it motivates me to learn, and to learn Torah and do chita. And it's just amazing. It's kind of like incredible, and just the power of the land. And I'm looking forward to going back. And my first experience in Israel in 1988, it was different. There was a different feeling. going back now. I guess your first experience with Israel is a little bit different, and maybe the times have changed in Israel. But this, I feel that I could connect and learn Torah and connect almost as strong or just as strong here in the United States as I can in Israel. But I'm looking forward to my next trip there. And what else did I want to say? Let's see. So the glow out of Moshe's face. Talked about the glow out of Moshe's face, and it also talked about the second Luchos, the light being and the light. Moshe was the giving. So we have here in this Sicha, the giving talks about the giving of the first tablets, the sin of the golden calf, in a summary, the giving of the first tablets, the sin of the golden calf, the destruction of the tablets, Moshe's prayer for forgiveness, Moshe's vision of God's glory, the 13 attributes of mercy, the giving of the second tablets, and the shining of Moshe's face. So it's just amazing that to review again that these the Torah has everything, and by studying the Torah, we gain insights, and what's amazing is from this portion is that Moshe, had learned how to give in a certain way to allow the Jewish people to be receivers and them to absorb all this light and also give back. And you can't just give off all this light and kindness and without some gevura. And I think that's the key to this parsha is knowing when to step back and allowing the receiver to be his own person and to create his own light and reflect. And Moshe's having patience with the Jewish people and going up and praying and waiting. And the Jewish people had to come around. They couldn't just automatically accept all this light after Egypt being growing all the ways in Egypt. They had to absorb all this light of the luchos of Torah, and so it's mashpia makabel, and the giver and the receiver. And anyways, I think that's about it. We got 27 almost as like a I shouldn't. Body's probably going to say that I shouldn't do this, but this is made or leather collar, something my favorite shirt now, and has some leather collar here. It's not really a collar; it's just like a neck part. But I like this shirt. I got some new clothes in Israel, and they're my favorite clothing now, and I can wear them to Minyan, and it's nice to have some new stuff from Israel, some memories, and it's incredible. The land is incredible. I had a great time at the Dead Sea. Sometimes I can still taste that the taste of the Dead Sea on my tongue, and that nerve memory, the taste of the Dead Sea. And I just loved it. I got on the Dead Sea and I floated on my back, floated on my stomach. I walked out barefoot, onto they had ice crystal, the salt crystals, and it was kind of a little bit painful walking out, but being used to walking on rocks, surfing and everything, I knew that I'd be able to tolerate it. And the water was a little bit cold being this time of year, but I got Batya to come in too. It was great. And, the hotel was great, and the sulfur water, and it was just a great experience. And looking forward to more trips to Israel, more experiences of all the land. Has everything. It seems to have everything, mountains and valleys and rivers and lakes and all different kinds of terrain and temperatures and everything. And anyways, my life is so much better today. And it's all because of getting married and Chabad and studying the Torah. And there's so much potential, so much. Every day I look forward to learning the Sichos and Chitas and davening, going to Minyan, and living my life with Batya. And it's just an incredible journey. And just have faith, just have the schus to believe, and Hashem will provide everything for those who have no fear. Hashem will provide everything, and He provides me with my every need. The morning blessings say it. He heals all wounds, and provides me with my every need, and it's just blessings. And to become closer to Hashem, to to the love and awe of Hashem, when I meditate, sometimes we meditate by the canal, and my new idea is picture Hashem, holding Hashem's hand while I'm meditating, and Hashem is really inside of me. He's part of me. He's my true self. He's my inner self, and that awakening of waking up and realizing that we had like a jet lag from Israel. Now I'm waking up earlier because I was used to the Israeli time zone, so now I'm actually waking up earlier because my body, I just want to hold on to that Israeli time clock in my brain, that Israeli time interval of waking up early, because I'm on the Israeli time. Even though I'm back here in the United States, it still has nerve memory. And anyways, it was incredible. And Hebron, I think Hebron was the highlight of our trip. And, I posted all those videos and pictures on Facebook about our Israeli trip. And I look through those sometimes. There's a lot, so it's hard to see them all. But, memories of our trip and being back. But it's good to be back. And this is a great country. Today is President's Day. So happy President's Day, February 18th. Anyways, that was that. And I hope you enjoyed this video. And it's not about how many viewers I get or how many people watch it or whatever. It's more about just doing it for myself and maybe spreading a little bit of light to anybody who watches it. And spreading Chassidus and spreading Torah and spreading light and showing that this is a way of life, and it's a wonderful thing that's happened to me, and I'm so blessed and I'm very grateful. And anyways, that's enough out of me. 33 minutes, and have a good night, and shalom. Yechi. Bye-bye.